Donald Trump has restarted the bombing campaign in Iran. And before anyone reaches for the national security talking points, let's be clear about what is actually driving this. This is not about protecting American service members. It is not about freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. This is about satisfying a very specific political agenda, one tied directly to Israeli interests that benefit from permanent regional destabilization. Netanyahu lobbied Trump for this personally. Pro-Israel donors funded the political machinery that put him back in power, and now American bombs are falling, while the White House simultaneously insists a peace deal is just around the corner. CNN broke the story. Here it is.
Like by the hour, America is either on the precipice of full-blown war with Iran or about to get a peace deal, depending on who you're speaking to and what's just happened that hour. You mentioned the strikes, of course, around the Strait of Hormuz. Those just happened a few hours ago. We do have more information on where those occurred, with CENTCOM saying that they targeted missile launch sites in Iranian boats attempting to place mines. The statement went on to say that the U.S. is working to defend its forces while using restraint. Now, a note here, of course, there is a ceasefire that is in place now. Violations have happened in the past and the ceasefire has carried on. So unclear how this will impact that at this point. But we do now have a statement from Iran's supreme leader. Before I read it out to you, I want to make clear that this is a written statement from the supreme leader, and it could have been written before these strikes occurred. Let me read out that statement to you. The United States not only will no longer have a safe haven for its mischief and for establishing military bases in the region, but day by day it is growing more distant from its former status. Again, an indication there of the type of military actions that Iran has taken in the region, striking at military bases, of course, in neighboring countries across the Gulf. It seems a hardening of position. But you mentioned, of course, those talks with Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Those concluded in Qatar a short time ago, with the Secretary of State saying, look, it's a matter of wording, a matter of a few sentences that we're negotiating over now. But if you ask...
NPR confirms the contradiction the White House is hoping you miss. Fresh bombs are dropping at the exact moment Trump says a peace deal is days away. You do not bomb someone you are about to make peace with, unless the bombing is the agenda and the deal is just the cover story. That distinction changes everything about how you read this conflict. And while Trump is focused on dropping bombs abroad, his own party is quietly coming undone back home. Republican members of Congress, on the record, are warning that Trump's obsession with personal vendettas, his corruption, and his inflammatory posturing are going to cost them the House in the midterms. 38 House Republicans have already announced they are not running again. And here is the kicker. Megyn Kelly, who was about as MAGA as it gets, is now publicly declaring the movement is nearly finished.
Texas.
Yeah, he does. But the problem for a lot of Republicans is they can't rely on Republicans to win elections. They have to get independents. In some places, they may need to pull over some Democrats. And we have reached a point where there are multiple things that are affecting Donald Trump that aren't even related to Donald Trump making bad decisions. It is the midterm election cycle. They need to win their elections. A lot of them are past their primaries, so they don't need to only appeal to the Republican base. Donald Trump is going to be a lame duck president. He already is a lame duck president, but he's going to be much more of a lame duck president after midterms are over. The number that jumps out to me that I think is the most important is that Wall Street Journal finding that strong approval among Republicans went from 75% in January to 57% in May. That's a big drop in strong approval. It doesn't mean they don't approve of Trump. It just means they're not excited. They're not enthusiastic. And if you are a Republican who's on the ballot in November, that scares you, because those people are going to be like, I'm not going to go out and vote. I'm sick of all of this. I don't like how things are going. And those people are going to be the ones not getting the votes, not Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, we just played some of my reporting from Social Circle, Georgia. And while I was there, a lot of people were angry with Congressman Mike Collins, who's trying to become Senator Mike Collins and take on John Ossoff. And I found the exact same phenomenon there, that they are basically able to channel the anger that maybe they should be directing at the president, at other Republicans, whether that is a congressman who they think hasn't done enough for them, or that is acting Attorney General Todd Blanche here.
Yeah, 100%. I think what you're seeing this week is really the realization that Trump's priorities for the party are significantly diverging.
CNN's own reporting. 38 Republicans walking out before the midterms versus 23 Democrats. Representative Thomas Massey put it plainly. Republicans are, quote, worried about their political mortality. That is not a unified coalition. That is a party watching its own leadership detonate the building they are still standing in.
Now MAGA, I don't even know, like MAGA is not what it was. MAGA is now this very, very small group of Trump diehard loyalists who have to love Mark Levin. And so that's by definition an increasingly tiny group.
Right.
And they've upper limited, basically, thanks to Trump's own definition of his followers. And it's a small group. So I guess I've been surprised to see how quickly it's shrunk down to something less formidable by far than it used to be.
Yeah, when I look at the Republican Party, I thought we had learned our lesson with the prior administration of George Bush. But now that I look at Trump, I see George Bush 2.0, the money he's made, the new war he started, and there's absolutely no pushback. It's like his base is the same people that supported the Iraq war, and it's like they haven't learned their lesson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's stunning to me that the people who voted for the man who said over and over, not only no new wars, but no war with Iran, no Middle East wars, and specifically over and over said Iran, and also said the Democrats are going to get us into a war with Iran.
Yes, he
Like,
did. Yeah.
That the people who voted for him, that was not a small thing. That was not a throwaway line. That was a massive part of his campaigning and his promising. That those people on a dime were like, yes, we're pro war with Iran. Yes, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. We all know that that's a lie. It's so obvious that that's a lie to get us into this conflict, that they were not on the verge of development.
When Megyn Kelly, someone who was inside the MAGA tent for years, goes on the record saying it is dying and names the Iran war as one of the things that killed it, that is not a liberal talking point anymore. That is the movement's own media infrastructure sounding the death knell. The movement is cracking from within. And the man tasked with running the actual military campaign, Pete Hegseth, is making it catastrophically worse on the ground. We now have Army survivors on record disputing the Pentagon's account of a drone attack at Port Shuaibah in Kuwait. Soldiers were triaging themselves with makeshift bandages and tourniquets and commandeering civilian vehicles to reach hospitals because the unit was, in their own words, completely unprepared. 6 service members died. And the whole time this is happening, the bombing is not just about Iran. It never was. It is about creating the strategic window Israel needs to push into southern Lebanon. Colonel Wilkerson explains exactly who is behind that plan.
In more ways than one. A U.S. soldier killed in Donald Trump's war with Iran could have been saved if Pete Hegseth's Department of Defense had responded to her command's request for more medical supplies, according to a new interview. Master Sergeant Nicole Armour was one of 6 U.S. service members killed in a retaliatory strike in Kuwait on March 1st, just days after Trump authorized joint U.S.-Israeli attacks on Iran. Survivors of the devastating attack, which also left 20 people wounded, previously said they were dangerously exposed and unprepared to defend themselves despite being on a list of potential Iranian targets. Now, Amour's colleagues have revealed that the unit also requested more medical support in the weeks preceding the strike, but they were ignored, according to CBS News. This is a failure, Major Stephen Ramsbottom told the network. She could have been saved. She fought the whole way and was trying to stay alive. This failure could have been avoided. Ramsbottom told CBS that after the base in Kuwait was struck, the operating base that it was hit, he expected ambulances to rush to the scene to treat the dozens of service members pulled from the rubble. There wasn't that, he said. It was like, oh man, we're on our own. Early on March 1st,
soldiers on record contradicting Pete Hegseth directly. 6 dead. Makeshift bandages, civilian cars to the hospital. And Hegseth's response was to call it a drone that, quote, squeaked through. CBS News has the survivors' testimony. Congress is now investigating. The cover-up is already underway.
Turn to if you do get rid of Netanyahu, who isn't going to say the same thing about Iran is our existential enemy and we need to get rid of them. We need to finish them off. We need a bunch of Bantustans out there. Chaos is what we need. So it's difficult to see how that works itself out in any better way with Netanyahu gone, except I'd be glad to see him gone.
Exactly. And it's kind of an example of be careful what you wish for, because today something happened in Israel where Netanyahu was the good cop. So Smotrich starts,
Yes.
Ben Gvir, Smotrich go over Netanyahu. Ben Gvir tells Netanyahu, go slam Trump's desk and tell him the war in Lebanon will continue. We're going to go 20 kilometers past the Litani River to some other river. I can't remember its name. That's Ben Gvir. Then Smotrich, take it a step further. This guy's mind, I don't know how he's in government. He literally says, for every drone that Hezbollah fires, we need to level 10 buildings in Lebanon, in Beirut. This is, one of my guests said, Mario, this is the same thing what Nazis did. They would shoot 10 innocent, for every soldier that was killed, they would shoot 10 or 20 or whatever it was, innocent civilians. And now Smotrich is advocating for pretty much the same thing, level 10 buildings for every drone fired. And Netanyahu fought back, pushed back against him. He said to him, what are you, I can't paraphrase, but something along the lines like, what are you talking about? If we start doing this, you want to do it in the West Bank? You want to do it in Gaza? If a drone is fired from within Israel, do you want to level 10 Palestinian buildings in Israel? Something along those lines. So Netanyahu was the one, tell you how screwed up things are in Israel. He was the one advocating.
Israel's finance minister, Smotrich, has openly called for the Litani River to be the new Israeli border. Defense Minister Katz has announced plans to occupy southern Lebanon indefinitely and demolish entire towns. Netanyahu personally lobbied Trump to authorize this, and the Trump administration, sustained by the pro-Israel donor class that financed his political resurrection, is providing the diplomatic and military cover for all of it, while American troops bleed. This is not American foreign policy. This is foreign policy written by a purchase order. And the people willing to say so plainly and to actually fight it are the ones you are about to hear from.
Including here at home. At this moment, Graham Plattner speaks clearly and forcefully against these destructive wars of choice and for investing in our children, providing better health care for all, building more affordable housing, and protecting our planet. His deep commitment to a safer and healthier world for veterans and for us all is why we need Graham in the United States Senate. It gives me pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Erin Oberson. She's a registered nurse and mother from Old Town and the co-president of the Maine State Nurses Association. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I'd like to take a moment and thank Senator Bernie Sanders for inviting us all here to support these two incredible candidates, Graham Plattner and Troy Jackson.